Hey guys, I wanted to do a deep dive into the top command. And the reason I wanted to focus on this command is because it's such a powerful tool and it's a command that you're going to be using a lot. So I want to make sure you guys learn all the different features it has. So let's get started. Just run the top command and I'm going to walk you through what each of the different columns and lines mean. All right, so at the top we have the actual time of the machine. Then we have the uptime, so it's been up for 2 days, 1 hour and 45 minutes. Then we have the total number of users that are logged in, and then we have the load average. So the load average is the average. Then we have the load average section over here, and this represents the load over 1, 5, and 15 minutes. So this is the load over 1 minute. This is the load over 5 minutes, and this is the load over 15 minutes. And load is a measure of the amount of computational work a system performs. Right. So the next section is tasks. So this shows you all the different statistics regarding all of your processes running on your system. So we have a total of 311. One of them is running. 243 are sleeping at the moment. 3 are stopped. And 0 are in zombie state. And if you don't know what these different states mean, definitely check out my video on processes. I go over all of that in that video. All right, so the next section, the CPU section. So what this section is we have a different number each time top runs for each of these sections. And what this means is this is the time spent running user processes that haven't changed the priority using the nice command. So this is the CPU, percent utilization used on user processes. Then this is the CPU utilization spent on running kernel processes. So that's what the SY stands for. NI means the time spent running user processes that have been niced or have their nice value changed. Then we have the ID section, which is time spent in the kernel idle handler. Then we have WA or IO wait, which is time waiting for IO completion. Then we have HI over here, which means time spent on hardware interrupts. SI is time spent on software interrupts. And ST is time taken from this virtual machine by the hypervisor. And if your system isn't a virtual machine, then obviously don't worry about this last section. All right. Now, once we get down to this section, so this is the legend for the different processes that are running. So we have the first column, which represents the PID. So this is the unique identifier for the process. Then we have the user that each process is associated with. Then we have priority. Then niceness. Then we have virtual memory size, resident memory size, shared memory size, process status. So this is going to tell us if it's in a running, sleeping, stopped, or zombie state. Percent CPU utilization, percent memory utilization, and then time plus over here means the total CPU time used by the task in hundredths of a second. And then this is the command name or command line that was used to start the process. All right, and I guess I skipped over the memory section, but this just shows you the different memory stats for your system. It shows you, memory used, swap memory used, and things like that. It's the equivalent of running like a free-m, but it also includes it in this command. All right, and if you've noticed that it looks like top is periodically refreshing, and that's because it is. And by default, top is told to refresh every 3 seconds. So every 3 seconds, you're getting an updated list of the processes that are running and what their CPU and memory utilization looks like. But if you don't want to see it update every 3 seconds, we can actually change that value. To do that, just press the letter D. All right, so we're going to change the delay, and it's showing you right now it's set to 3 seconds. If we change it to every 1 second and then hit enter, You're going to see every second it's going to update. You see how it's much quicker now? But let's go ahead and just change that back to 3. Now, if you noticed in the user column, we have processes running from many different users, and the top command by default is going to show processes that are being run across all of the users on the system. If you want to only see tasks that belong to one specific user, you can press the letter U and then the name of the user. So I only have one other user on this system, and it's user 1, and it's going to basically filter out just user 1's processes. And if you want to go back to seeing the processes for all users, just press U again and then just leave the input blank, and it's going to show you all processes across the system. Now, let's say you don't want to sort by CPU utilization, because that is what we are sorting on by default. So always the top line is going to be whatever process is taking up the most CPU utilization, and it's going to sort in descending order. So anything near the top of this list is using a lot of CPU, and anything down this list is going to be using a lot less. But let's say we didn't want to sort on memory CPU utilization, but instead sort on memory utilization. We can do that by pressing, whoops, sorry, wrong button. If we press Shift and then M, we're now sorting based on memory utilization. And if we want to go back to sorting based on CPU utilization, just press Shift and the letter P, and now we're back to sorting based on CPU. If we want to sort based on process ID, we can do Shift N. So this is going to sort based off of the process ID. So it's going to, by default, do it in descending order. And then finally, to sort based on runtime, you just do Shift and then the letter T. Okay. Now you notice how by default it's always going to be in descending order. Let's say we want to flip that and do it in ascending. To do that, just do Shift and then the letter R. And now we're going to do it in ascending order. And if we do it again, Shift R, it's going to flip it back. So you can just press Shift R to flip back and forth between what direction you want to sort on. Now there's another way to actually choose what column you want to sort on, and that's doing it interactively by pressing Shift and then the letter F. So that's going to give you a menu of all the different categories that we can sort on. And you can see up here it's saying that, right now we're sorting based on time. But let's say we want to sort based on PID now. We can just use the arrow keys to move the highlighter to the PID section and then press S. The letter S, and the directions are right here, so it's just saying press S to set this as the sorting parameter. And after you press S, you'll notice that the sort field has changed to PID. And then after that, just hit Escape. And you can see here we're now sorting based on PID again. And when you go to this interactive menu, we can also do a few other things other than telling the machine what we want to sort on. We can actually tell the machine which columns to display. All right, so let's say we don't care about time. We can press the space bar, and now it's no longer going to display that stat. And let's say we wanted to remove CPU and memory. Not sure why we want to do that, but this is just to show you how to use that. And then press Escape. You notice how this command output is no longer as wide. It's because we lost the CPU utilization, time, and memory columns. So you can tweak top to show you whatever you want to see, so that you can focus on only the relevant data and you're not wasting time looking at unnecessary information. Another thing you can do is, if you want to list the different threads, instead of doing it per process but do it per thread, we can do that as well. So now you can see the different threads instead of processes. So that's the difference. If you just press Shift H, that's going to show you the threads, and then Shift H again, it's going to move back to processes. Now, we do have the CPU and memory stats up here. Like these are overall values, not per process or anything. Let's say we wanted to look at them in a different way, like more graphically, more visually, instead of just seeing the numbers. We can actually do that using the letter T and the letter M. Okay, so T, if you press the letter T, it's going to show you our CPU stats in a different format. So this is using the bars. And if we, open up Firefox or something, it should cause it to spike up. So now it's showing 60% CPU utilization. So it's, humans like to see things visually, and it's a neat little thing you can do with top. And then if we press T again, it's going to show you with the filled bar instead. It's just a different way of showing it. And then press T, it removes the CPU stats altogether. And if you press T once again, it's going to bring it back up. And you can do the same thing with the memory, but with the letter M. So if we press the M key, it's going to move to the vertical bars. Press it again, we get the filled bars, and then press M again, it's going to remove it, and then press M one more time, it's going to bring it back. So, cycle around with with that setting and see whichever one you prefer. I usually just leave it default. Finally, the last thing I want to show you is that you can actually kill a process from top as well. All right, so if we look at this Firefox process and let's say we want to kill it, we can press the letter K, and it's asking us which process do we want to kill. So let's give the Firefox process 6961, hit enter, and then now we tell it which signal we want to send to. So remember, 15 is always the default when you use the kill command, which is the graceful termination, which means we're going to ask Firefox to close down, and then Firefox technically doesn't even have to listen to the command, because we're just politely asking it. But if he accepts that signal, he can shut down whatever process, save whatever data he needs to, so that nothing gets corrupted in our file system or in that process, and then he can go ahead and then shut himself down. And it's a very nice and elegant way of shutting down a process. If we do kill with the number 9, which is a sig kill, that means we're just going to straight up just kill the process. The process won't have any chance to gracefully close down any open files or anything like that. All right, so you can use either one. We can send any signal we want to, but since we want to close the application, let's just leave it at the default of 15 and hit enter, and you can see we've killed the Firefox process. All right, so that's all I had to show you guys today regarding the top command. There's still more features that top has, but I don't think I could cover everything. This is just the basics that I think you guys should learn, and I just really wanted to focus on the important stuff, and hopefully you guys thought this was helpful. If you guys want, I can make another video with covering more features, as well as covering a different application called HTOP, which is a more feature-rich version of top, and that's an application or process that a lot of people use as well. That's a little more handy and helpful. But if you guys want me to, I can go ahead and show you guys how to do that. If not, then so be it.